stuck in second gear when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year.
Hello and welcome back to another video. Now, this is a very controversial hot button take that definitely no one else has had within the last 12 hours or even less, but it's time for change. OG have been the most patient of all the international super teams we've had, but now they need to make a roster move. It's been over a year, they've won shit all, and now they've just been crushed, destroyed, used and thrown away. Basically, they're out of Katowice and they did it in very, very poor style. I'm going to go through the roster and basically decide what they should do. I'm going to decide which players they should keep, which players should definitely be gotten rid of, and which players are worth keeping, but also if a crazy offer comes along where you can actually upgrade them, go for it. Let's start with the players I'm 100% keeping. Valde. He's a good, reliable fragger. He's been the only consistent part of this team over the last year. He averages a rating of over 1.0 on over 65% of maps, and that's against the top 20. He is very consistent. Sure, he's not blockbuster superstar, but you can't get rid of a player like that. It's not a reasonable decision. Secondly, Mantu. For me, the eye test tells me that he probably is the best player on the team. Arguments can be made for Valde. You can argue that Issa at his best is better, but the eye test involves actually ever seeing that. And yeah, we don't. I am definitely keeping Mantu. I don't want Cloud9 to snap him up whenever they get bored of losing with Essa tag on the AWP. So yeah, 100% a keep. Questionable players. Now these are the players that I think, if the right offer came along, you could get rid of, but I'd rather keep them for now. The first one is, of course, Alexi B. I like him a lot. I liked him on ENCE. I thought he was a great pickup for this team when they got him. And yeah, he's the IGL. The team isn't winning. That's why he's not 100% keep. As a fragging in-game leader, he does a pretty decent job. He's not putting up nuts numbers like Glaive, but then again, he's not winning like Glaive right now. So it's quite hard to put up those numbers. There are very few players I can think of off the top of my head who I'd rather have lead a team than Alexi B right now. Especially when you look at who's actually available in the free agency market and who's lying about on benches. There's not much. So Alexi B, he's under pressure. He needs to perform better. He needs the team to perform better. But for now, I'd say he's questionable, but keep him. NBK. He's the supportive element of the team, the most dedicated supportive element. Alexi B, of course, does a lot of that legwork, but yeah, he's kind of the dedicated supportive player. He does a decent amount of entry work. He's not my first pick to replace, but if drastic change is required and you want to make 2 changes rather than 1, NBK could be replaced by a star rifler. Valde could, take a step back. It's not the most absurd idea. Moving on to 100% on the line. This is the player. By process of elimination, you all know who I'm talking about. It's Issa. Issa is my player to move. Just move on from Issa. He's been the least consistent player in the top 20. That's pretty much a fact. You cannot rely on this man to perform at any point. I'd hate to be his girlfriend. He just sometimes has these moments where you think, holy shit, he's an aim god. And then the rest of the time you're like, wow, he's a complete retard. Because he doesn't know how to play at this level. I think that's a part of the issue. People give the excuse that he might have high ping. I don't give a shit. He's not good enough. He's not played well enough. Get him out. So who to bring in? Well, I'm going to start with some bench players because OG have the money to afford the buyouts and the people on the benches right now don't have the highest buyouts. One does, the rest are all relatively cheap. I'm going to start with Kirby. Kirby was hot garbage on FaZe. I don't think that's unfair. He was pretty awful. Signing him to OG and allowing him to find his role, his groove again, could be some kind of redemption arc. More likely, though, he'll be as inconsistent as the man he's replacing. So nah, not for me. AZ. Now, AZ is weird. He's very supportive, can play your entry roles, your hard entry, not your fake opening kills entry, your real entry, who runs out, blind through a smoke, is half flashed by his teammate, and actually takes space, an entry fragger. He does that job, which is basically what NBK currently does. I wouldn't replace NBK directly, man for man with AZ. I also don't think AZ really fits Issa's role, but if we're talking about, again, what I brought up earlier, the 2 players out, 2 players in, we can talk, we can start to figure things out. But if it's a 1 man out, 1 man in situation, AZ's not the guy. MSL. If he doesn't want to AWP, then we can at least have a conversation. If he wants to AWP, he can fuck off. Even then, it's a hard sell. He hasn't been the most successful IGL over the last 18 months, and as a rifler, he's literally a potato, so I don't really want him on the team. From a fragging perspective, it's just if we decide the problem is tactical, which it really doesn't feel like it is, so MSL is going to stay on the bench till someone decides to build some sort of budget Danish team. Bubsky. Now, Bubsky is an interesting one. He's probably got the highest buyout because he currently sits on Astralis' bench. Was he a loan from Mad Lions? I can't remember. Either way, he's probably costs a little more than these other guys. Why is everyone on this list Danish? Oh well. He would be my second choice, as I think I just said, for my replacement of Issa. He's got very good aim. He can play a more starring role on a team. But the dickhead is still on Astralis' bench. If he was a real competitor, he'd have got out of there a long time ago. Free agents. Here's where the interesting shit happens. So, I've seen this suggestion. Woxic. The suggestion was to bring Woxic in and move Mantu to the hybrid role. No. Sunny. There are worse ideas than bringing in Sunny. He used to be an incredibly competent rifler. He's not quite at the same level he used to be, like when he was at his best in mouse sports a couple years ago. But there are also better options. So, interesting. Again, maybe his name comes into the mix when we're doing 2-for-2 swaps, but I don't think so. Esperanto. Skill-wise, definitely no worse than Issa. Arguably maybe better. He has actually performed under pressure at various LANs. I even watched him win DreamHack Open Summer 2018, where he won the MVP. He was, even with Nexa and Hunter on the team, the best player on contact. Sure, some of that may have come down to the role he was playing, leading to better statistics than Hunter, because Hunter has clearly been, at times, a very good player amongst the elite. That being said, statistics are one thing, performance are another. Esperanto has performed under pressure, he has performed consistently. He is my number one pick to come in for Issa. Will this fix the problems automatically? Probably not. That's why I keep floating this idea of making 2 changes. The biggest problem is, who the hell do you make as the second change? If we want to really shake things up, we might have to get rid of one of the founding bedrock members of this team and replace MBK. Now that's where the idea of Esperanto and AZ come in. You've got an elite rifler in Esperanto who does like to play more aggressively. AZ comes in, he doesn't play as aggressively, he doesn't play the opening role anymore. Alexi plays as your hard entry, running in, clearing angles. So finally. There's one more option. This is a true like-for-like in terms of playstyle, in my opinion, and that's bringing in Obo. Obo has expressed that he's not completely against playing in Europe. He could do it if the offer came along. He's an incredibly skilled player, still young, still getting better, and from what we saw in Complexity, he could compete at the highest level. Why not try out Obo? Well, obviously the first reason is I'd rather have Esperanto, but hey, if Esperanto for some reason has already signed for a Valorant team or something, because at this rate, half these guys in free agency probably will, you could always get Obo. I don't see that as a bad move. I'm just not sure how much it moves the needle. We've got a super team who haven't done anything super. We need to fix it. Roster change is coming. That's my take on it. That's what I think they should do. It's not earth-shatteringly revolutionary. The idea of having Esperanto come into OG for Issa was suggested to me about just less than a month ago, and I wasn't too hot on the idea. I liked it, but I didn't think it moved them into elite contention. Now that we're looking at these results, being top 10 would be preferable. It'd be an upgrade. They aren't a top 10 team. So, yeah. Let's bring on Esperanto. Leave a comment telling me what you think OG should do. Follow me on Twitch if you want to banter with me live and watch me lose a bunch of games. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Sub if you want to see some more. And that's all for this one. Goodbye.